Hello and welcome to today's historic Best of 3 deck tech and gameplay video on non-legend Reanimator. This list wants to put big, scary, non-legendary creatures to reanimate onto the battlefield early on and to use that sort of tempo gained as well as just the big, scary creature to bonk our opponent down. To reanimate said non-legends, we have two, technically three, but two reanimation spells: Persist, for which gave birth to this entire deck, caring about non-legendary creatures to reanimate, and Priest of Fell Rites being the other go-to reanimate in Orzhov colors in the format, and a single copy of Victimize, because sometimes you can get an absolutely blowout turn by reanimating two creatures at the cost of one of our smaller dirtily creatures. Besides the big, scary, non-legendary creatures and ways to reanimate said big, scary, non-legendary creatures, we have Stitcher Supplier and Bitter Triumph as our ways to put our creatures into our graveyard, as well as interact with our opponent's board or develop our own board, in addition to, again, their milling properties. Path of Exile, Apparition, and even some of our land base is basically just the glue that sort of holds it all together by having some interaction, because you have to have some interaction, otherwise you're just going to die to any amount of pressure. Land base, pretty self-explanatory. Running Godless Shrines and the Modern Horizons Pain lands. But basically you want to play lands that are going to come into play untapped on turn 1 and 2, since that's really ideally when you're going to pop off and do the big scary thing. Have some basics in here and some tech lands. You don't have to be married to the exact tech lands. It's more what you think are going to be useful. And as we talked about, some Modern Horizons Bolt lands for, again, more utility in our list, which we love at little cost since we were going to run lands anyway. Sideboard, also very self-explanatory. Path to Exile if you need more creature removal. Grand Abolisher, since there's a lot of, in testing anyway, I've gone against a lot of control decks and a lot of things that are going to interact on our turn. The Abolisher helps to reduce the chance that our opponent just immediately removes whatever we happen to reanimate and makes us, feel less bad. Trawler against graveyards. Witch Enchanters as more naturalizes on bodies. Cleansing Nova for sweepers. A couple more Perforator Crocodiles on the sideboard, also as creature sweepers, but this sweeper can be reanimated by the aforementioned Reanimator package. And some Tainted Remedies for opposing life gain decks, also very popular, and a couple Noxious Grasps, since these two colors, green and white, are really popular in our format over various decks. And that is the basics of the list. Don't forget to like the video if you like it, subscribe if you like my grab bag of content and would like to see more in the future. And if you have questions like, I don't have X, what about Y, or other generally nice and or constructive comments, I'll do what I can to respond to what I see. With all that out of the way, we'll go on now to game number 1. And game number 1 with our little non-legend Reanimator. And as always, we play first because we have a brain. Ooh, a one-lander, but we have Graveyard Fuel and yeah, I'm going to keep it. Just hope we find a land. If we don't, we're going to be very sad, but one thing at a time. Fellmire, playing the 3 life, and a Stitcher Supplier. Hopefully we find something. That's alright, a dud. A Temple of Abandon is a slow play. We take those. There's nothing we want to reanimate, so we'll go ahead and play this tapped. Another Stitcher Supplier. Hopefully find a bigger hit. Okay. There is always the... what's the word? Pardon? Okay. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. There is the inevitability sometimes that you're gonna, just draw poorly, or you're not gonna hit what you need to hit. That appears to be what's happening now. Okay. Teamer Ramp. I mean, they're doing it. Good on you. I don't know what you're ramping into. I'm interested, though. It seems odd. Okay, well, let me back that statement up. It's not that odd that some sort of Teamer landfall list is gonna run Fabled Passage, but with like Prismatic Vista being at Pardon. Okay, with Prismatic Vista being a card, it seems like that would eventually have pushed out Fabled Passage. Also, Jace the Mind Sculptor, lol. Odd thing to ramp into, but I guess that works. 0 mana Brainstorm, which is a thing. If we continue, however, to draw very poorly, even our opponent's weird play is gonna, like, put in work. I mean, that's fine. There's an argument to be made that I should have not played the Priest, and I could have waited to see if they traded with the Lotus Cobra. But I'd be very surprised if their Teamer ramp thing, yeah, I was about to say, gives up their Lotus Cobra. It's likely very important to what our opponent's deck is doing. We're drawing absolutely garbagely, which is unfortunate, but again, is like an unfortunate, like, reality. You're just gonna have bad draws. They are popping off, to their credit, and I am not. If I miss another land, gotta be honest, I think I'm gonna scoop. Because Reanimator doesn't work if it goes any longer than the first few turns, when you could just almost I mean, we couldn't have played the Ashen Rider by now, but the longer the game goes on, when you could have, in theory, actually just played the creature normally, the deck gets just significantly weaker. The whole thing is the deck trying to sort of gain tempo by reanimating a card several turns before you could normally, and using said big scary thing to bonk your opponent before they can, like, sufficiently mount, like, a defense. But our opponent, to their credit, is absolutely popping off. Oh, I would love to, I would unironically love to, like, die to, like, a storm deck. That'd be very funny. I don't think there's anything I draw that pulls me out of this. Unfortunately. Our opponent having it, yeah, okay, it's good. I could sit there and continue to try, but, like, let's be honest now, the game's probably over. Honestly, the pass, not that useful. If they're just going to ramp into a couple of big things, we already have Bitter Triumphs for that. Actually, Perforated Crocodile would be pretty good. They had a whole lot of, like, dirtly creatures here that would die to a Perforated Crocodile. Although, I should say, after we've done the sideboarding, Teamer Ramp is awesome. I don't think I've ever... but it's not a deck I've seen in testing at all, and I always say this, or try to. Okay, that's fine. That I love when people try things, and our opponent's trying things. So you got me. I'm all in on whatever it is you're trying to do, even if we happen to lose. It's honestly not the worst thing in the world if we don't hit something big off a supplier with a Triumph in our hand. That works too. Play dude, hit with other dude. Temples are nice. Okay. I mean, I'm down to just hit our opponent with, like, our dirtly dudes, but I was expecting some sort of creature that I could, again, do the Bitter Triumph and all that jazz. That's a good one. That's a good one to get rid of. I guess we get... Yeah, I guess it would be Sun Titan. Discarding a card, of course. Targeting the Swarm. Paying the life. Getting rid of Sun Titan. This is actually going to be a good instance of showing why we actually use the Sun Titan. There are moments like this where, I mean, you've kind of seen what I'm talking. We'll take that. Hang on, let me. That scoop sort of borked my brain a little bit. Think about it. This is a perfect example of we could have reanimated a Gear Hulk, but they didn't have anything to get rid of. So a Gear Hulk wouldn't really work. We could have used, I don't know, a Sarah Emissary, but we don't know what their win con was, other than, like, maybe some dirtily creatures. So, like, I mean, Sarah's Emissary would have worked fine as a big body, but you sort of don't know what the most effective thing to name with the Emissary would be. Ashen Rider would be nice to get rid of some of their lands, but they're a ramp deck, so they could have very easily gotten more lands, so that doesn't really work smoothly. And they didn't have any other creatures or any other notable permanents to get rid of, so we couldn't have, like, gotten rid of their Jace they know they have. Sun Titan is kind of in the same category as a Troll of Khazad-dûm. They're both good ones to reanimate when you don't know enough about what your opponent's doing to get, like, the best, you know, choice. Sun Titan and the Troll here are just, like, good ones to do in a vacuum when you're still trying to gather information. Is what I mean to say. Gonna run it again. I don't think our plan changes that much. I personally hope that, like, our opponent has some cool, like, dying to, like, a gutter, or grape shot. That's what it is. Dying to, like, a grape shot or something would be fun in their list, since we saw them kind of pop off. I hope they, like, have a cool way to end it. Granted, they also have, we saw them have a Primeval Titan, but if you're a green ramp list, like, Prime Time's a great card, not only to ramp more, but also just to end the game. So I can't get too upset about that. Sylvan Caryatid, ooh la la. What did we get? Nothing, okay. Didn't really hit anything big and scary. Would love to target the Caryatid, but we cannot due to hexproof, so. But we're in a good spot. We can kind of do a similar thing here. But if nothing else, just bork our opponent with little dirly dudes until we have, like, a good hit. Our Lotus Cobra. That works. Okay, let's be smart about this. Attack with the Supplier. There's no way he trades with the Cobra, but in the off chance he does, that's fine. I guess we do a Bitter Triumph, discarding a Gear Hulk. Since next turn, if they actually make the land drop, they could play a Primeval Titan, and that would be a good thing to get rid of with a Gear Hulk. Honestly, Tatiova is also a perfectly fine thing to get rid of. Another Gear Hulk is fantastic here. And yeah, we'll just get rid of Tatiova here for much the same reason. They almost certainly do the landfall trigger now. Get your life, get your cards out of it, as you should. It's the correct play. And now, maybe their plan, yeah, was just to, like, summon, you know, a couple Prime Times and some more dirtily dudes and just, like, sort of beat me down with, like, for the most part, fine creatures. So we're going to assume that's what's happening until I have, like, more information. Yep, and again, as they should, they're doing the 1000% correct play. It's fine. They got all three of their colors. Of course we will destroy that. Give me the life, please, also. This deck does get really cavalier with its life totals. Okay, so they did have Prime Time. Yeah, go ahead and get rid of it now. The fact that it can get any lands might tell me more about what our opponent's trying to do if they, like, get some spicy non-basic lands. but they might just get, like, yeah, I was about to say, some of their, like, tapped card advantage lands. I'm just scrying away some stuff. Well, in the meantime, Priest of Fell Rites just bonk our opponent down now with an admittedly larger creature. What is there? Is there win con just like some okay creatures kind of quick? I mean, that clearly it's like gonna work. We'll be fine. At least Oracle might tell me what they're going for. The Lotus Cobra. I probably would have gone for the Lotus Cobra, but I guess it's all blockers at the end of the day. Skyclave works. As much as I'd love to know what they're doing with their deck, we need to get rid of the Moldiah. It's just like the most important thing here. Do not attack with the Priest in case they block our Stitcher Supplier and kill it. Which could again give us another, in theory, activation of a Priest of Fell Rites. They are just eating it. Which is a choice. And nothing really to... I mean, there's technically things to reanimate, but nothing you ever want to. Sweet little cat, you're in front of the screen and you're not made of glass. You want to come hang out with Dad? Yeah, it's your sister. Come on. Hi, Gooba. Banana. If you give me a land, it's not a land, but it's a thing. It does help. Or is it just like some sort of teamer value thing, and they were just gonna get there eventually? That's what I'm thinking it is now. Not gonna attack with the Skyclave. I don't want to give them a block and give them a 4/4 and actually upgrade the body of the creature. You don't have to. Just, yeah, block the Stitchers. It's free. What are you doing? You just have it bonk off. Okay, yeah, I'll take the trade. That's fine. I'm not cracking the silent clearing because I'm wanting to eventually, fingers crossed, draw a land and have the Gear Hulk to be able to play naturally, which is always a nice little, I guess you could call it, you know, cherry on top of, okay, of a Reanimator list. Of a good one, in my opinion, is that you can always play the thing you're trying to reanimate, like, normally. I don't like Reanimator list where it only reanimates, or you can only get the creature by way of reanimation. You can never play it normally. I don't like those lists. That's so silly, but I'm actually gonna, yeah. This is one of those moments we were talking about. A troll, it's not the most exciting thing to reanimate in the world, but, like, you know, it's fine. It's getting there. I will attack with the Skyclave. Well, actually, no. Okay. Actually, I think I attack with everything. I'm threatening lethal, so they're going to have to make blocks. The biggest one has Menace, so it's going to eat up a couple of blockers. Hullbreaker Horror. Ooh la la. That kind of changes things. Okay. I'm not gonna lie, Hullbreaker Horror makes me a little more scared. Yeah, give me some mills. That would have been nice to be able to reanimate, but oh well. Okay, this could go really bad if they happen to pop off with Hullbreaker Horror. Okay, so they were clearly ramping into like a Hullbreaker and like a prime time, and they were just gonna. Honestly, they're kind of trying to do the same thing that I was doing. They just got the several turns ahead by way of... oh, I blocked that all day. By way of getting extra lands and skipping turns. I just used my graveyard to skip extra turns. That's the only difference. Well, we're doing a remarkably similar thing. It's a land. Yeah. What do I do here? Okay, I'm gonna play the Bolt land, play a Gear Hulk, because I'm afraid that they're gonna have a spell to cast in response, which messes up my... They have to have something. They don't just die here. They have to have a spell to make use of the Hullbreaker Whore here. Oh, another one. That makes me feel even better about... Oh, ooh, okay, that's... Well, hold on. I think I still kill him. Menace and Super Menace, I think, actually gets me the win. I don't think there's a... yeah, I don't think the math works out here to where you live. Good deck, though, from our opponent, unironically. Yeah, we're both... Ramp decks and Reanimator decks are trying to do the same thing. They're just attacking the tempo gain in different ways. Ramp list, like we talked about a couple of seconds ago, just do that by getting extra lands faster than your opponent does, and therefore skipping turns. I fill my graveyard and then bring things back from said graveyard several turns ahead. Doing much the same thing. And also, again, we love when people try things. So, I guess with that out of the way, we go on now to game number 2. And game number 2 with our non-legend Reanimator. And again, we play first because we have a brain. Yeah, we'll keep it. We would love like a Stitcher supplier. They're mulliganing. We would love a supplier on turn 1 to get something in the graveyard. Maybe a Bitter Triumph so we can get the Emissary into our graveyard or something. But even if we don't, 3 lands, 4 spells, start playing things on turn 2. Not the most exciting thing, granted. Ooh. Another one of those... Oh, come on. Stop drawing the things I want to reanimate. What was I going to say? Oh, I believe I talked about this in the deck tech a little bit. I've gone against a lot of, like, blue, whitey-based control decks. And I think the card that I've seen, like, 4 times in the last, like, day and a half, which is bananas to me. I think it's Orm's Chant. That card absolutely hoses me. So we might see that here. Have a supplier. Maybe we hit something big and scary. Did not hit something big and scary. Oh well. Oh, they also have some of the pixel arty Windows 98 looking lands. Oh no, I don't have any of these. I just have the pixel art snow lands, not the older OS looking lands. But I do like them. They're very nice, honestly. Sorry. Oh, okay, just a reskin. That's fine. I don't think we do anything different. We're gonna be in trouble because our reanimation, or half of our reanimation tools require our opponent to do things. And if our opponent is the blue-white control deck that I imagined them to be, they're not gonna do a whole lot of things. They'll do a few things later, and they're gonna be big and scary when they do them. Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Trust me, I have a plan.
That's not the best, but I guess we can apparition away the Teferi.
This is hardly my worst defeat.
Also, in a lot of those, in a lot of those blue-white control decks, this Teferi has been popping up again, and I don't know why. Okay, give me something big, kind of scary, that I can reanimate. Pretty please. That's counts. Yeah, that counts. Felmire tapped. Persist on Gear Hulk. Getting rid of said big scary thing and getting me life and developing the board. Again, not at all exciting. But it's a thing. If they run a whole lot of counterspells, we're going to be in a tough time. If they're just like Sweeper and Removal, we can kind of kind of play around them. Or minimize their impact is what I should say. What are we doing here? I'm just gonna take the chunk. Taking the chunk. That's fine. I don't think I need to... I'm not gonna use a reanimation spell on a Birth of Meletus. They are digging. They have... Yep, this is a seemingly perfectly normal, arguably inoffensive blue-white control.
I understand. Keep an open mind.
Not gonna lie, it's gonna take a minute. That's very funny. Hello, banana. That's not actually the worst thing on the planet. If we can draw a land and play the Sun Titan. Sweet cat, could you stop pawing at the window? Pretty please. Don't be a butt. Banana. Thank you. That sounds like you being a butt. Luckily our opponent's not doing anything that special. Dude, hang on. 1 second. Don't be a butt. Our opponent's very low, but they've kind of, sort of... okay. That helps. I was going to say they kind of turned the corner, but this does help a little bit. Sun Titan. That's... yeah. I was thinking they're not... I was going to always take the Apparition. My brain was thinking, do I hit the Banishing Light or the Narset? Narset will always fuck me up in that, like, I'll forget the passive not drawing more than one card thing. Or they'll play, like, what's it called? Some sort of wheel effect in blue that I can't think of the name of. It'll mess me up. So in the meantime, Sun Titan attacking. Really, just, okay. I was gonna say Sun Titan attacking and getting rid of the Banishing Light, but we'll take that. Grand Abolisher, very good here. Path to Exile, not great. What else do we... Victimize is kind of cute, but they always have some sort of graveyard hate. I guess a single Noxious Grasp. A lot of their threats are usually white-based, although they ran a lot of enchantment stuff. That thing's Thirst for Meaning would imply they have, like, some enchantment under-theme to it. Like, they even had Banishing Light. I say that because a lot of the blue-white controls that run a lot of enchantments run that Sharknado card, whatever the hell that thing is. That'll... it being an enchantment would imply, you know, you have to give a certain amount of dams about your own enchantment count. And non-creature spells and all that jazz. But that's also normal for blue-white control. That's fine. Do a Razorgrass Field. Playing the Priest. Oh, what's that? Oh, God. I can't remember the name of the spell for the life of me. But it's like a white and a blue instant. Counter target spell unless it's controller pace 3, and then you exile the thing you counter. What is that card's name? Okay. They're running weird removal cards. The enchantments are kind of common. Glass Casket's an odd one. Now, granted, it's clearly doing well for them here. If our opponent, like, doesn't do anything, it's, like, very hard to, you know, use a Bitter Triumph and put an Ashen Rider in and then reanimate. Like, you can't really do your thing if your opponent also doesn't do anything. Okay, Teferi, that gets go time. We can make that happen. That's fine. I don't even care that you did that. That's right, I can't cast spells during that. Is unfortunate. I think our play still remains the same, however. We're going to discard a card, getting rid of Teferi, Time Reveler, getting rid of the Ashen Rider. This is one of those where you do the most slime ball thing and start getting rid of lands. If our opponent's playing blue-white control, I don't feel that bad about it. Also, and I never feel bad enough to not do it. I'm always going to do it. Yeah, destroy the card. Destroy the card. Do it. The fuck? Okay, yeah. Deck is all over the place. I mean, okay, I guess. I don't know what their win con is, though, anymore. They're kind of starting to lose the plot a little bit on that one. Because none of these things are, like, really doing it. I'm not gonna lie, if they're one of those decks that, like, doesn't want to win itself, just tries to make you lose, I don't like those. Those are not that cool. So weird, but I'm gonna play the Apparition, getting rid of the light, just to, like, do things. I say our opponent could have removal, or it could just be the Omen of the Sea we know they have. Probably, yeah, gonna draw. Yeah, this is, like, not at all how I expected a Reanimator list to do, but it happens sometimes. And not for nothing, some of the glue cards, like Apparition, on top of whatever useful effect they have as, like, you know, glue to hold the deck together, when in doubt, you can always just bonk them with your guys. Granted, it's a whole bunch of little tiny guys. They've also shown that they're, one, a blue-white deck, and two, they actually played a Supreme Verdict, or whatever that card's called last time. So that's gonna, like, not be great. That's the million-dollar question. I don't know if... I mean, our opponent could bounce things just to, like, give himself some life. Yeah, I was about to say, I actually think bouncing their card draw is, like, better. Because they have answers to it. They just gotta, like, dig to find a sweeper. That is annoying. And I can't get rid of it on this turn because of lovely Teferi. Yeah, with Teferi and Narset, they're really seemingly leaning more into, like, the almost Staxy element of it. Or at least that sometimes they'll have. I should know this. I'm gonna play the Sarah's Emissary because it's big and scary. I believe even if I name sorcery, I don't think that protection applies to sorcery-based sweepers. I don't think. Maybe it does. Or maybe our opponent just didn't have a thing. But we take those. I will stand by the fact that I'm pretty certain that sweeper-based removal manages to get around Sarah's Emissary. I actually haven't ran into that. I don't think. But anywho, that is the list. It's a fun Reanimator list. And if you like Reanimator lists, this is actually pretty good. It's, like, not the most exciting. Oh, and the game is melting around the corners here, which is nice. But it's a fun list. If you like Reanimator list and you wanted a new one, you could do far worse in this particular format and at this particular time. But yeah, it's fun. I recommend you should play it. I will almost certainly come back to this in the future if we get even more impactful either reanimation tools or, like, good non-legendary payoffs. But yeah, with that out of the way, thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like the video if you like it. Subscribe if you'd like my grab bag of content and would like to see more in the future. And if you have questions like, I don't have X, what about Y? Leave comments, nice ones, and I'll respond to them. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.